Hello my friend and welcome to my channel Faisal Azib. I hope that you are well. Let's now actually learn how to manipulate class with JavaScript. But the first thing that we have to do is to actually react to a click on each of these buttons here. So right now, of course, nothing happens. So now we need to attach the event handler to each of these three buttons. We finished the last video by learning how we can do something for all of these three buttons at the same time, right? So for that, we use a loop which loops over this node list, which is basically an array holding all of the buttons. And so this button open model at position number E is the current button element in each iteration. And then from here, we simply write the text content property just like on any other element. But now, let's take it one step further, and instead of simply reading the text content property, we call the add event listener method, just like we learned in the last project. Okay? So remember, in order to respond to a click event, we will attach an event handler function to the element. And event handler and event listener are pretty much the same thing. So that's why this method is called event listener. So let's say here event add event listener. And that is once more the click event. Okay, remember? And then the second argument, what is it? Remember, it is function. Okay, hope that you have remembered this. So let's open and close. Good. This function will contain, of course, the code that should be executed once the button is clicked. So that will be an anonymous function. Remember, so a function without a name, and it is, of course, also a function expression. Okay? Because it is simply this value here. So this function value. So just as I explained multiple times already, but it is important to keep remembering this stuff as we go here through this section. And to start, let's simply log to the console the text content of the button that was clicked. Now here was actually, we have made a mistake because of course we don't want to log to the console this one. Okay, it is a mistake here, no problem, I will delete it. Okay, it's just for previous video. So just let's write now console.log log, and here I just write button clicked. So simple like this, not clocked, clicked. Okay, so simple like this. Give it save, and normally I have an error here. So let's see what I have forgot. Maybe, yes, I have forgot something. Yeah. Yes, of course. Here I have removed, I think, I have removed what I have removed here. I think I have removed something. Yes, of course, I have, as you can see, I have an error because I have closed this one here. Good to see some error and something like this. Good. Now it's good. Now, each of these three buttons here has their own event handler function attached to it. Okay? So, I click. Indeed. As you can see, with this one, I have the message. Okay? So, if I click here, the same thing. That's what I mean here, the two here, because I have clicked, I have message 2 times. And as we click another time, I have 3, 4, etc., etc. You can do it all another time as you want. Okay, so it's work. Let's continue. So now we attach this function here now at all of these three buttons. And again, because we did it here in the loop, while we were looping over this node list, which contain all of these three buttons. Okay? But now, of course, it is not the only thing that we want to do. Instead, we want to display the model that we want. And remember that this model is already in the HTML. It is hidden right now because it has the hidden class. If it didn't have this hidden class, it will be visible. Let me actually show that to you. Okay, so I will just delete this hidden class. After I will put it again, no problem. Okay, so now I delete it. And as you can see here it is. Okay, that's because the hidden class is now gone. So I will put again the hidden class. Oops, good. And it come back in normal way. Okay, so basically this is exactly what we will do using JavaScript. So we are moving this class hidden. So what we want to do is to take the model element that we have selected here. So remember, this is related to the element in HTML of the model. Okay? And then what we will do here, so we select the model, then stored it into this variable. And so now we take that selected element. On there, we can read the class list property. How we can read the class list property? With dot class list. And then this class list property itself has a couple of methods. And the one we are gonna use is remove. Okay? And as I just explained, the class that we are going to remove is the class called hidden. So simple like this. And you can actually also remove multiple classes. For that, we just have to pass them into comma like this. Another class, etc., etc. Okay? So here we can specify more class, but I just need the hidden class, so I remove the other one. But just keep in mind that we do not use the dot here. Okay, it's very important. Not just like I have do it in the query selector. And I am telling you that because I used to do that mistake myself, and I remembered that, and so I want you to avoid it. So the dot is the only for the selector. But here we are not anymore selecting anything. We are just passing in the name of the class. And so all we need is a string with that name. Now, besides removing class, we can also add class, and we can even check if an element contains a certain class or not. And we will use all of them in this video and the next one, inshallah. And this should actually already do the trick. So when I save this now, and let's click at any button. Good, it works, as you can see. So hidden class is now gone, and now I can show that to you here. Okay, so I will use the inspect element. Oops, sorry. Use the inspector. Okay. And then, so I will use this one. Go to the model here. And then you see here, the model doesn't contain the class hidden, as you can see. Now we can, of course, not close the model now, because that functionality is not implemented. But at least now it is open. The first step, it's good. Now we also have the overlay, which is this one. Okay? So, which also has the hidden class, as you can see in HTML. In order to show that overlay, we need to remove the hidden class from this element as well. So that's easy enough. So it is just the same thing again. So let's do it. So, overlay, I have selected, or no, I have forgot to select overlay, sorry. So const overlay, I have forgot completely. So very quick, document dot query selector dot class overlay. Good. So let's use it now here. Overlay dot class list, the same thing, dot remove, and remove the class hidden. Okay, so let's see. Indeed. So we have this overlay. It's beautiful and it's really nice. So using class like this is really great and handy way of manipulating web page. And in practice, adding and removing class, like we just did here, is the main way in which we change style on a website. That's because the class basically aggregate many styles in just one class. Now, in this case actually, the hidden class only contains this one style. Okay? So this should be being the same as specifying the display style directly in JavaScript. So like we did in the last project. So we could have done also modal dot style dot display dot style, sorry, my auto completion, dot style dot display, and then send it to block like this. Okay, so now if I go to the CSS, I guess what was it? Yeah, nothing. So basically, display noun means that is not visible, and if you want it to be visible, you will set it to display block. Okay, so this will do the same, exactly the same thing, but you can see that is more of pain, because then we would have to memorize what exactly we have to write here. So this property name and the exact value, and this is only for one style. So imagine that the hidden class actually had 10 properties. Then we would have to write all of these properties here manually and change all their values. Okay, so it is not useful to do it like this. So that's lots of work and it is not fun. And so instead we can basically aggregate all of these properties in one class that we identify here in CSS, and then in JavaScript we simply add and remove this class as we need or don't need this style. So usually when you need to manipulate style on a page, then always just export the style into a class and then use the class just like we did here. Okay? Now, what we just did here is for showing the model window. But now let's also add the ability of then hiding this model by clicking that button. Okay? So this button here. So right now, as I said, it is not possible to close the window unless we reload the whole page. So let's take this button here that we already selected. I have do it or no? I think I have also forgot the button close. I forgot it, I think. Yeah. The close model I haven't selected or no. Yeah, I have do it. I have do it. It's 2 o'clock, no problem. 3 o'clock. So let's do it. So button close model. Okay, and simply add an event listener as previous one. And again, waiting for the click event. And then specify our function here. Okay, nothing new at this moment. So again, we are just defining the function here. We are not calling it itself. It is a JavaScript engine who will call this function as soon as the click event happens on exactly this element, right? Anyway, here we now want to do the opposite. So basically, we want to add the class back on. So model dot class list, and here we will not use remove. I will add the opposite. What is the opposite? Is add method. Okay, this time. So, and here I will add the class hidden. It is the opposite. So we add the hidden class back on, which will then hide the model, and the same actually for the overlay. So let's just duplicate this line. Okay, and we change this to overlay, the same thing. So now I think this should already work. So that's worked before. So let's check it. Opening. Okay. And now if I close, yeah, it does. Good. So now I think it should work for 3 buttons. That tests. Good. And the 3rd one. Good. It works perfectly. So again, this is a very common thing to do. We change the appearance of website and of element like this all the time using this class technique. Next up, usually when we click outside of the model, then the model window also closes. So that's pretty common, right? So what I mean is clicking this area here outside should also close this window. So basically not the case for this moment, of course. So we want this inner code here to also be executed when we click on the model or actually on the overlay. So let's do that. So overlay. So I'll put maybe space here. So overlay dot add event listener. Okay. And then the event is always the click. Another function. And now what should I do? Well, just to make it work, I can copy this code here. Oh, sorry, this one. Add. Okay. And I put it here. But you already know that is not a good idea, probably. But let's just for now see if it works. Let's see. So we click outside. So it says the overlay, and when I click, it works perfectly. The model and the overlay are both hidden again. Good. So this works now. But again, we do not want the same code here in this 2 places. We want actually the exact same function to be executed, no matter if we click the close button or if we click the overlay. So how should we do that? We can simply export this function into a more real name function. So let me actually cut this part here. Okay. And then I will create a function here. Const. What I will call it? Close model. So simple like this. And then it equals the value that I have cut before. Okay? And so now this variable here is what holds the function value. So what can I do now is here to specify just close model like this. And that's it. So that's the function right here. So this is what we have here is exactly the same as this part. Okay? And again, notice we are not calling the function here. It's very important. So we are not doing this something like this. Okay, with parentheses. So like this, this will not work at all because it will immediately call the function as soon as JavaScript execute this line. Okay? But that's not what we want to happen. We want to close the model function to be executed only as soon the click event happens on the close model button. And now we can just do the same thing. So here in the button closed, so I will delete this part and I do the same thing with close model. Good. And that's it. So that's much better than what we had before. Not only did we make our code more dry, but we also made it more readable, more expressive and more declarative. So right now, when we read this code here, it is a lot easier to understand. So we just read button close model and then the event listener of close the model. Okay? That makes sense. So just by looking at this line, we see that when this element is clicked, then we want to close the model. The same when the overlay is clicked. We want to close the model. Alright? And so we know exactly what's gonna happen when we read this code. And so for that advantage alone, let's do the same thing here with this function that open the model. So we can get rid all this console.log. We don't need them. Okay. So let's put the two functions here together. So const, and here we call it open model. And this function will be just equal this one. Okay, the same thing. So I will take it, but I think there is no close. No, there is it, no problem. So we take it function like this. Good. And so now we assign this function here to this open model variable. So once more, a nice function expression. And now we just take that, put it here, of course. So I remove this one. Oh, I have made a mistake here. Huh? Sorry. Yes, this one, I remove it. Sorry. I have made a mistake in the code, but not problem. I will correct it. And here I will call the open model. I think I am so tired now. A little bit. So I have made a mistake. This code here, it is not inside this function. Of course, it is outside. Okay? I have said when I have cut the code. And now, of course, again, we don't call this method open model. So we simply declare or we define it here and tell JavaScript, hey, whenever a click happens on one of these buttons, then please call this function that we just specified here. Good. And so this is our code. And it is a lot better, as you can see. So actually, we just did some refactoring here, and so restructuring our code without changing the functionality. And so that means that our code should still work the same. So let's see. So reload to be sure. Show model. Good. Show model with the button. Good. And show model from here. Good. It works perfectly. As you can see, so we can open and close in two ways. And we can open, do it with 3 buttons. Beautiful. That's really great. So to recap, if you want to use the same function in multiple event listener, then you need to specify that function as a separate function, like this one here. And then you can pass that function as an argument to multiple at event listener method. So just like we did it here. Okay? So that's one of the takeaways of this video. And the other one is that we really, in practice, use the functionality of adding and removing class all the time in order to change the appearance of element on our page. And that's because class allow us to basically aggregate multiple CSS properties in just one, like container. So each class function a bit like container, which a lot of properties in it. And then here, by adding and removing them, we basically can activate and deactivate certain styles all at the same time. Okay? So keep that in mind. And even better, actually write a note, maybe with what I am saying, because this is really important stuff. So working with class is something that we do all the time. And there is a third thing that we do with class, which is to check if a class is actually present on certain element. And that's gonna be the topic of the next video, inshallah, along with learning how to actually deal with the kpress event. So that's yet another really exciting video. So just stay with me until the end of this course. Practice always. Don't forget to subscribe my channel Faisal Azib, and to practice again. What I recommend you for this type of project, delete all the code and repeat it from the first step. Okay? To try, if you have understand this concept of remove and add the class, and if you have making the real refactoring for all the method, and to try, I hope that you can do it. See you next video, inshallah. It's a goodbye. Wassalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.